talk about the best practices for science hands-on model making. A lot of these are arts and crafts, and we really want to get the scientific learning and the hands-on experiences without being able to actually take them to regions or visit different animals. Like our extreme earth biomes, we can't fly the kids around the world, but we can give them a hands-on experience on what the rainforest is like, what the ocean is like, or what the Arctic is like. Another great model that we do is a crocodile's habitat. We can't take them to the swamp, we can bring the swamp to them. We're going to talk about, basically, there's a lot of lessons that have this arts and crafts type bent on it, but we want to be able to bring the science into them and make sure that there's good science hands-on learning while doing an arts and crafts model. So glue, tape, markers, clay, crayons, scissors. These model making things are a lot of fun, but they need to be managed, the materials. So, I mean, there's just a couple little things to keep in mind. Usually they're going to need some tools. Kids, child-sized scissors, markers, crayons. I typically grab a paper plate or some sort of container, and I put them in the middle of 4 children to share. So if they need a ruler or if they need scissors, it's right there, and they know where to access it from, and we're not spending a lot of time passing out materials instead of building the model. The glue. This isn't in Before You Begin. A lot of these tips, the Before You Begin section are things that you have to accomplish before the lesson. These are just kind of tips for the trade. So if it's glue, we're not going to put in there, make a glue palette. Just know that this is a really easy way to do it. Put a bit of glue on a piece of tin foil, put it in between 2 to 4 children, and they can access the glue. What I say is you go to the glue doesn't go to you. Because once they start moving this glue all over the place, that's when accidents happen and glue's everywhere. This is also a great technique for paint. As long as the kids don't move that palette, they're good. As soon as they start moving, I want it over here by me, that's natural for a child to do. So just once you make that expectation, just make sure you stick to it. Lots of tape. We talked about the tape earlier. Just have a method. You can have it on a table next to the children or do the plate technique. It just needs to be managed. There's 2 types of clay. In the Never Smile at a Crocodile, it's this air dry clay. Now you're not going to be able to prep this before time because it dries in the air. It's air dry clay. So in the moment, you're going to open these up right before the lesson and make the partitions where they need to be and distribute it when you need it. The other type of clay is this plasticine, and just be careful. Cover work surfaces when you have this plasticine. It does contain a dye, and just make sure the children are aware to be careful not to get it on their clothing. Other things that make things a lot easier, the string. When we say 12 inches of string, we're not talking millimeters. We just want you to get about 12 inches per kid. A nice, quick way to do this, you're wrapping a ruler. So you're not doing one piece at a time and cutting. Just wrap the ruler, cut on one end, and then cut on the other end. And I'm just going to put my finger where I'm supposed to cut. And you have 12 inches, I mean, within seconds for all of your kids. So you're not spending too much time. That saves you a lot of time doing it that way. Talk about the kids about preparing to share materials and what that looks like. Get their ideas from them. When the kids buy in, ask them, what does it look like? I'm putting these materials in front of you. How do you share materials? And they'll tell you, and they'll know your expectation. With this model in particular, there's a lot of cutting involved, there's some coloring involved. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to build this prototype, and you can be successful at this alligator habitat. The Never Smile at a Crocodile lesson is a great example of arts and crafts-based activity. The thing that we need to keep in mind is this is a hands-on science lesson. We don't want the arts and crafts to overpower the science learning that should be happening when they're experiencing this build. The first thing, there's some instructor prep that you do in the Before You Begin section. You need to make sure that that's taken care of. We've cut the cotton swabs in half, we've done the strips of paper, and we've built a little model crocodile to show the children before they begin. The first thing that they talk about is the ecosystem and where the crocodile lives, and engage the children in some questioning. Have they seen crocodiles? Where do they live? Why do they live in swampy areas? These open-ended, divergent style questionings are great for the kids to make a connection to. And as they're building, so their swamp grass, which is just simply, they're cutting along one edge of this wider piece of paper, and I have one done here. You're talking about you're talking about the camouflage it gives the crocodile and what it really, why the crocodile needs these, the plant life in their ecosystem. The children then take the reeds that they've colored and tape it to the bottom of their swamp grass, which are super cute little reeds. And just real quickly, have the tape available like we talked about before. Now this is just a simple little, it's so cute how this works. To cover up this, they're going to fold their smaller piece of paper over the top, just like a little reed burrito. So then it holds it together. And just keep that dialogue going, because this is a hands-on science lesson. Their hands are on these reeds, and you're talking about what that means in a habitat and an ecosystem. So that they're engaged the whole time, not only in what it's going to look like, but what it really means to this species and how important their habitat is to their survival. So you want to bring in some fun facts and as you go along. Now these slits at the bottom, all that does is make it be able to turn around the edge of the plate. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it around the edge of the plate, and so it will turn and look nice. And they just tape it in there. Just use one hand to hold one end in place. Oh wow, this alligator has a nice habitat. So yeah, it just looks something like that. We can fiddle with it to make it look unique. You know, this is an opportunity to be creative and engage the children. They want theirs to look like their own. So once they get through with their habitat, you're going to talk about the 3 types of crocodilians, and we have a crocodile here. But and as they're going to build this model of the crocodile, you're going to talk about the crocodile's features and what structures they have on their body that they have adapted to their environment. This air dry clay is so cool. The kids just color the clay whatever color they want. So if they want a more brown crocodile, you know, a more green crocodile, again, we're inspiring creativity and a love of science. They want to have, this should be fun. So as they're making their crocodile, you talk about their scales and how they're reptiles and why they're a part of the reptile family. Ooh, magic, we have green. These, you're just going to press these into the molds and then pull them out. Oh, wow, there's my crocodile head. Let the kids take a little bit more time so they can come out with a nice finished product. Now there's also 3 small handouts that tells you the difference between the 3 types of crocodilians. And we're going to tape them inside, but as we tape them inside, we're going to talk about what makes them different. It's the shape of their snouts. One is long and pointed, the other one is more rounded, and then we have one that's shaped like a triangle. Which one have they made? And they'll be able to look at the snout and figure out which one they made. But these will be taped to the bottom of their crocodile's habitat, just so they remember the types of crocodilians, and they remember what kind of ecosystem that they thrive in and what features on their body have adapted to survive in this type of habitat. So have fun, make sure to embed that science, and have fun.